Hey, everybody. Oh, happy May. Cannot believe we are in May of 2022. How bizarre. How bizarre. Anyways, I'm going to fight the urge to sing that. But super pumped to talk to you guys about what we have on the agenda tonight. A little bit of Portugal recap. But first, May incentives. Hopefully you've already seen this, but today is May 2nd. And so here's what you need to know and your team needs to know for what's going on this month. We're still in the Rise Up Rank Up Challenge where you're going to get double rank advancement bonuses for increasing in rank during this quarter. So that was good for last month, this month, and next month. So hopefully your eyes are on the goal of moving your business forward by hitting a next rank, or moving your business forward by helping people beneath you rank up. There's no reason that you cannot hit a next rank in your business over the next 2 months. So double rank bonuses. Right now, we've got double business building bonuses, meaning those $20 welcome pack bonuses that you're getting. If you recruit 2 or more people this month, those bonuses will be doubled. Okay. Why does that matter? Well, if you go and figure out the amount of money a new Fast Start Silver could make with double business building bonuses, double silver bonus, double senior silver bonus, and fast start bonuses, it's a lot of money. And then let's say they go fast start gold. We have several girls coming in here going fast start gold in 30 days. Figure out how much money that would be with the double welcome pack bonuses, the double rank advancement bonuses, plus the fast start. So it just gives you some leverage when you're casting vision with your team to be able to show them dollar amounts and say, this is what's on the table. Maybe before we chatted and it wasn't a good time, but now with this on the table, does that change things for you? Also, for every welcome pack that you sell, they're going to get a free bag of Starfruit Guava Active. So something in it for them to get started on their journey, something in it for you and for your team in order to get them started on their journey. So that's kind of in a nutshell what you're looking at this month. So hopefully you've been up to speed on that. We're starting new book clubs this week. You guys, you're not going to find a leader on this team who's not plugged into a book club. You're not going to find an up and coming leader, somebody who will be advancing through the ranks who's not plugged into a book club. So I'm challenging you to invest in your learning and in your growth by making these book clubs a priority. 2 different book clubs, depending on where you are in your business. Both of the posts are in the team page. Ask someone for information if you don't know what I'm talking about, but plug into a book club. You really have no excuse to not prioritize your growth. And I'm telling you, not prioritizing it will absolutely hold you back in your business. Sometimes the things that feel the least urgent are the most important. So that's what we've got this week. And we're going to start this call by hearing from the girls who went to Portugal, what our takeaways were and how it applies to you guys and why you should be dreaming big. So we'll start with April and then we'll hear from Britt and then I'll pick it back up and head into the content for tonight.
Perfect. Thanks, Christina. Okay, so I have so many things to say and I don't have enough time, especially being a blue. But first of all, I don't think you guys know this. I don't think anyone knows this, but I swore I would never go to Europe. And it has always been my husband's biggest dream is to take me to Europe because he's traveled to Europe. And so when we earned this trip, he was like, oh my gosh, you're going to have to go to Europe. And I had no idea what to expect. I think I was most nervous about the flight because I had never flown that, far over the water before, but it was picture perfect. It was so smooth. We had no issues at all. I know a lot of y'all saw how we got to fly. And it was incredible. And so the first thing I wanted to share with y'all is I really got outside my comfort zone. Okay. There was a lot of OG diamonds there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of this newbie. Not a lot of people know me, but I forced myself to have.
April, you're muted. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm muted.
I was trying to mute someone else and I
fine.
accidentally. So sorry.
You're fine. So basically I had to get outside my comfort zone, right, y'all? So I talked to a few of the OGs. I was talking to Brooke Hemingway and Celeste and Tamara Holloway. And what I found between all these people I was connecting with is they all work their businesses very differently, y'all. There isn't a set, this is the way we have to work our business. But what I did find is they are all extremely consistent, right? They show up daily, they do the work, whether or not they feel like it. And the people who are moving the fastest, they're creating leaders of leaders of leaders of leaders, right? And so basically these people, y'all, they have the desire to learn, right? They want to learn from you. They're asking you all the questions, and we're having good conversation. And basically, y'all, what I found is they haven't figured it out. They have not figured it out yet. They don't have the attitude of I've arrived. They literally have the attitude of what can I learn from you? What can I change? What should I take ownership of? And so it was just incredible having these conversations, feeling like, you know what? We're all trying to still figure things out, and that's okay. But the thing that I saw that was in common was they weren't giving up, right? They're not quitting. And every single person I talked to, they have a story. They're not all the same, right? They've been in different hills and valleys and seasons and hard times, but they have chosen to just keep going, just little by little. And hearing so many stories of impact, y'all, from husbands to family members to coworkers to whoever it is, it was just endless when it came to the business side of things and products. So my belief was built to the point where when we were on the way home, I'm sending all these business messages because the belief is built and everyone needs to be doing this with us. The other takeaway that I had was this trip was really good for my marriage. Adam and I do not get a lot of time together. And so for this to be a trip where the company is paying for it and he and I get some time together and we get to go explore, and he was able to rub shoulders. I think he talked to Celeste's husband for an hour on a boat one night. It was really good belief building for him as well. So it really was a fantastic trip. Every single time, like the days went by, I was like, this can't get any better. Like this was the best day ever in Europe. And then the next day would come and I would say the same thing. So it was absolutely incredible. It was picture perfect. The best trip I've ever been on. And we already want to head back to Lisbon. So it definitely has a special spot in our hearts. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Britt.
Oh, April, I loved hearing all of that. I have not heard all of that feedback from you, so that makes me want to cry. I didn't know that it was your favorite trip ever and all of that backstory about you not wanting to go to Europe. So that's awesome. Everything you just said is news to me, but I'm so glad to hear it. And I could tell you were having a blast and loved seeing how happy you looked. And I could tell you your husband was having a good time too. So I echo everything that April said. I feel like every single time I go on one of these top earner trips, that there's absolutely no way that Plexus is going to top the last one. Or that like at some point I'm feeling like I won't continue to be impressed, but I'm not at that point. Like every single time I'm just blown away. I seriously feel blown away because first of all, we flew first class over there and we saw the receipts for how much it cost for the flights, just the flights. And we were like, whoa, there's absolutely no way we would have spent that money on ourselves. Okay. So we flew in the pods, which I've never done before. So that was an experience. My daughter, Grace, she's 11. She loved that. And then when I got there and I'm having conversations with all of these different people, what I found, which was just is not news, but it's just a great reminder and belief building, like April said, is that every single person has their own insecurities, doubts, and fears. And the most successful ones, they just don't let those things stop them. They keep going anyway. They believe that it's figure outable and they can find solutions and they're willing to work hard and they grow themselves and they're learners, but they all have insecurities. And it's not the same ones, but we all have them. Okay. It doesn't matter how much that person appears to have their life together or how successful they are in their business, they have insecurities. Okay. So that just stood out to me. Made some new friends, which was fantastic. Some leaders who are ahead of me in business, that's always a blessing to be able to have conversations with those people. Loved hearing some product stories. One thing I love to ask when I'm at any Plexus event is tell me what these products have done for you. That builds my belief and gets me even more excited to share about what we're offering here. And then not just the flights, but the whole entire trip was first class. So I was just talking to Christina about this, how there's no way I could provide that whole experience for myself. Like everything from, they planned the entire itinerary, like they booked our activities for us. They hit all of the highlights. Like if you were to go on a trip to Lisbon, you would pick like the biggest highlights to see, because the city is so big, there's no way you can do all of it in a week. So you pick the biggest, most important things, the biggest attractions, and Plexus paid for all of that for us, and they booked all of that for us, and we didn't have to make any decisions or even think about it. Christina booked us one food and wine tour on one day, that was a free day. But other than that, there wasn't really any decision making involved, which takes the stress off of me completely. Because I mean, if I'm not just in a foreign city, I'm in a foreign country, I would have no clue what to do. And also I'm a type 6, which means notoriously I'm indecisive. So just the fact that they planned the whole itinerary and we got to see the most important things there, that right there made the trip super low key for me and like no stress. And like we raced some sailboats. We won, for the record. And we beat Brooke Hemingway. Brooke, if you're watching this, Nana Boo Boo. And so that was fun. And then they would provide us like this super nice lunch at this really nice restaurant with like 4 courses with wine and open bar and dessert, like everything. It was so nice, like every single time. And so all of the events, y'all know Plexus events are top notch, but they were really just like over the top. And then the shopping spree, like literally we just went to Bloomingdale's on a shopping spree. And then we're in a meeting with Alec and Tarl, and as we're walking out, Tarl's like, oh, by the way, there's a $2,000 gift card in the hall for you guys. Y'all enjoy yourselves shopping today on one of the most expensive streets in Europe. I bought a Louis Vuitton bag that I've been eyeballing. And so I was just blown away by that. And then when we got back to the room that same night, they had more presents for us in the room. And I'm just like, how generous can you be? Seriously, I was about to cry at that point. And then the farewell dinner, it was just so immaculate. Like, it felt like I was a movie star. That's what it felt like. And then my daughter got to experience all of that with me. So all of this to say, there's no way I could provide this experience, even if I just had the money to go buy all of this. I couldn't get all of those people there, all these top earners that I get to have conversations with, the whole itinerary, all of the meals, all of the events. Oh, the party on the boat, that too. That was super fun. So just, I want to do this the rest of my life. Like I want to keep doing this, and I intend to. And all of you could do it too. That was another thing. Like all these people, they're super down to earth, normal people, just like you and me, with doubts, fears, insecurities, past history, right? Past sins, shame, right? Everybody's got things they have to work through. And there was really nothing special or like nothing stood out about any of these people other than, like April said, they just were willing to work hard. And so anybody can do that. And nobody can do things like Plexus does it. So I love the whole thing. I intend to keep doing it. And all of you should come with us next time. Christina, I'll pass it to you now.
Well, you literally took every single thing that there could possibly be to talk about. You took it
Wait,
all.
I have one more thing.
Now you're going to take the very last thing?
One more thing. I don't think you're going to share this thing. So after the very last night, it is true that we stole the tour guide's mic and we sang a cappella karaoke all the way back to the hotel. And every single person was singing. We had 4 corporate people in the back and they were loving every minute of it. And that was definitely a highlight for me.
If you need a glimpse,
I
Robin
did
has it
not
on
know
her
there were
stories
corporate
right
people
now.
there.
Robin,
All 4 of
all
them.
the events girls were there, but Robin has a clip on her stories tonight. So even dignified Robin was
Don't watch.
karaokeing. Okay.
Well, her husband loved it.
Oh, he was providing the music, and Adam was the resident drummer on the back of the
Yes.
scene. It was fantastic. Okay, so here's what I will tell you before I get into the training tonight, which this plays very well into our training. But what I like several times on the trip, what I was taken back by was how little we are and how great God is. Like we're studying at church, like, God, I want you to increase. And for me to do that, I have to decrease. So I'm there and I'm seeing all this architecture and we're hearing all this history. And what it made me realize is, man, we're a glimpse. We are a glimpse, a blink of an eye. And anything good that we have has been given to us by him. And we've got to steward it well. Because even though we're just a blink, a glimpse, a breath, we can impact so many people and so many families and generations and generations and generations who will be long gone before we potentially could ever see the impact of that influence. Long gone. The people who dreamed up those cathedrals, the stone workers who came in and started carving, they were long gone before they ever saw it come to fruition. And you know what? Let that be our impact. Let that be our influence. The differences that we're making now, it should continue. It'll be a ripple effect. And so, man, just the whole time you're there, you're like, okay, you're on this top earner trip. And I'm literally looking around like, we're all completely normal. Know how I know? Because some of them diamonds strolled up into breakfast before they got themselves ready for the day. And I realized like, oh, they all look like me when I roll out of the bed. They're not always 10s. Sometimes they're 2s, just like me. And so, I mean, I loved that. And I loved that they all felt comfortable being 2s with each other. Like it wasn't what you would think of if you thought of a top, earner trip with really, really successful people, because you know what? Everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time, you guys. Everybody does. And so I was really encouraged, like, man, I know so-and-so on my team could relate to this person because she's been through this hard thing. And the person on my team thinks that hard thing might hold them back, but it doesn't have to. So it's going to take us in here. Brittany said, there's really no one special. I'm really nervous tonight for some reason. My voice is real shaky. I don't know. What she said was that what stood out to me is that none of them were different. None of them were special. And I would challenge that to say this. The reason they stood out, the reason you saw them on that trip is exactly what we're going to talk about tonight. The reason they earned it is they chose to be a player versus a pretender. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Players versus pretenders. Because in this business, sometimes you're going to get yourself a pretender. They're going to claim to be a player. You think that they're going to be the person that's going to go the whole way with you. Pretenders act the part, they claim the part, they even look the part. But what they're not willing to do is fulfill their part. They're not willing to do their part. And so what we're going to talk about tonight is how to know what a player is, how to know what a pretender is, and how to move from being a pretender. Because some of you, listen, I'm going to bring it to you straight. Some of you are going to realize tonight that is you. You've been pretending and you want to become a player, or some of you will realize you had been a player and started taking shortcuts, and now you are a pretender. And so I'm going to give you some ways to know, and we're going to go from there. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. I really don't know why my voice is so shaky, but y'all just have to deal with it. I blame it on the jet lag. And also the fact that I'm not savvy when it comes to technology. Okay, here we go. I loved this quote. Y'all listen, all of this smart information I'm going to say tonight came from John Maxwell, one of my favorite podcasts of his. I've listened to it probably 10 times at this point. But he says, Characterize people by their actions, and you will never be fooled by their words. And that kind of goes along with what we've always said is, watch their feet, not their mouth. Characterize people by their actions, and you'll never be fooled by their words. Because here's one thing you need to know about pretenders. They will give you the right answers. They will say the right things, but you've got to be characterizing people by their actions. Okay. All right. So first of all, what is a pretender? Here's just kind of a bucket list of basically the downside of having pretenders. They're going to act their part rather than do their part. They will steal momentum, and we'll get into why that happens. They will slow you down. They will live for themselves and their recognition. But listen, they can grow if they are willing to undergo major changes in thought patterns, personalities, etc., for them to become a player. From being a pretender to becoming a player, this is what must happen. They must have major changes in their personality and thought patterns in order to change, but they can make the change. That's why we say, if you have someone who is hungry for growth and willing to change, anybody can do this. Not everybody will, but anybody could. Okay. So what is a player? I believe that a player, they believe that success in their life, they'll have arrived at this pinnacle of success when they know their purpose, they're growing to their maximum potential, and you guys, they never arrive. That is what stood out to me in Portugal, is no one there thought, oh, I've made it. I'm the best I could ever be. Everybody there, all the ones I talked to anyway, were looking actively for ways to become better, looking actively for people who could influence them in a positive way. So a player believes that they've been successful when they know their purpose, they're growing to their maximum potential, and then they're sowing seeds that benefit others. Players are not content to win alone. They are only content when they are sowing seeds to benefit other people. Okay, so what is a difference between a player and a pretender? There are 8 of them, and I'm going to give them to you. So a player has a servant's mindset. A pretender has a selfish mindset. Albert Einstein said, only a life lived for others is a life lived worthwhile. So a player understands that. They are looking for ways to serve others. John Maxwell says in the podcast, how can you tell if you have a servant's mindset? By the way you act when you get treated like one. I thought that was really powerful. Like when you have to take a step back and you don't get to be the one on the pinnacle, but yet you're the one cleaning dishes behind the scene. How do you behave when you're put in that role? That will tell you whether or not you have a servant's mindset. I see it modeled so well at our Ruby retreats, or when we have to put on our own conventions. The girls behind the scenes who are the ones serving, they're cleaning, they're decorating, they're organizing, they're preparing trainings. Like those girls are people, they're giving of themselves to serve others. Pretenders want all the recognition, all the acknowledgement. Like, ooh, I made this balloon arch, which for the record, I did not make the balloon arch, but they're looking just for personal gain from that. So that's number one. Players have a servant's heart. Pretenders have a selfish heart. You'll see that play out in Plexus because a lot of the times the leaders, the players, a lot of their work is behind the scenes. You don't see the hours upon hours upon hours that go into developing a human being for that person to then be recognized. So I think about it. I got to train in Mexico last year at Emerald Extravaganza. And everybody was so excited for me and I appreciated it so much. But I remember thinking to myself, I wonder how it feels. Like Brittany, she knows that I'm a product of hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and years and years and years of her developing me, but yet I'm on this stage. And so I asked her because I'm curious, and she's like, girl, I was so proud. Like you being up there is me, is that I helped build that. Like I recognize that because she has a servant's mindset. She understood serving me in that way, helping me reach some of my potential. That was the right way to behave. She wasn't bitter because she was the one up there out training. She could have cared less. Matter of fact, I would dare to say she was probably more excited to see me up there because she knew what it meant for me. She knew that was my strength zone. Okay, so that's how you'll see that play out. Players aren't looking for the recognition from a job well done. A lot of the times the job well done is behind the scenes and never even recognized. Okay. Number one, players have a servant mindset. Pretenders have a selfish mindset. Number two, players are mission conscious. Pretenders are position conscious. Meaning a player will give up their position to achieve a mission. If they're not the right person for the job, they will stand aside and let someone come in who it is their strength zone, so that the mission, the goal, the team, they can benefit. A pretender is position conscious. They will give up a mission in order to achieve their position, to keep their position. They will make the team sacrifice because they're not willing to surrender the spotlight. They're not willing to relinquish the control. They're not willing to relinquish the recognition. Players, they are very slow to promote themselves because, again, mission conscious. But pretenders are very quick to puff their chest. I think one thing that's important to know when it comes to being mission conscious and position conscious, having a servant's mindset versus a selfish, is that the greatest leaders are those who affect change with the most people, which means you're going to be the minority because you're affecting change greatly with lots of people. Okay. Let's see if I can go to the next one. No, let me go back. Okay. So players who are mission conscious. Oh no, I got that. Okay. All right, here we go. Good. My notes are all over the place. And I told y'all I'm so nervous. Okay. Oh, this is my favorite. This is my favorite. Players are job happy. Pretenders are job hunters. They think I could do this better over there, or with a different upline, or with a different company, or with a different this, or with a different that. And he says his favorite quote when it comes to that is to remember, no matter where you go, there you are, right? So players are job happy. They understand that they love what they do. They make a choice. They are a company girl through and through and through, and you're just not going to change their mind on it. Pretenders, he said they have three things: destination disease, meaning they believe success is always somewhere else. They're the ones who think the grass is always greener on the other side. It's not. The grass is greener where you water it, right? He said they also have someone's sickness. They believe their success lies in the hands of someone else. So they're thinking, well, if only so-and-so would do their job, if only so-and-so would join me, if only so-and-so would coach me, if only so-and-so would this, then there I could be successful. He said they also have backside blues. Some of us struggle with this false humility. We believe that our success is impossible because of what we did yesterday. So we choose to just sit in that versus realizing everybody has a yesterday. Everybody has a yesterday. Everybody has the opportunity to move forward. For a player, they're job happy because their work is fulfilling. They're working from a place of purpose. I love you. I'll see you in a minute. I love you. I'll be there in a minute. Sorry. They're working from a place of purpose, but the pretender is so focused on appearing content that he or she is rarely competent. They're so focused on looking the part that very rarely are they actually fulfilling the part. Pretenders also believe the problems are a part of the workplace. A player believes that the problems are a result of the leader, and they're willing to work and grow and change in order to change that. Okay, for the record, I think number 4 is maybe my favorite. Players, they can deliver the goods. Pretenders promise the goods. I love this quote that he talked about on his podcast. He said, we always hear about the haves and the have-nots. Why don't we hear about the doers and the do-nots? Players always believe, players are going to produce. They understand in order to be relevant, they must produce. Pretenders are going to promise the production. They're going to give you the right answers. They're going to have all of the excuses. They're going to have a reason why the goods couldn't be delivered. Players don't have that. They just get the goods delivered. He said that this quote by Walt Whitman I thought was interesting. He says, there is a man in the world who never gets turned down. Wherever he chances to stray, he gets the glad hand in the populous town or out where the farmers make hay. He's greeted with pleasure on deserts of sand and deep in the aisles of the woods. Wherever he goes, there's a welcoming hand. He is the man who delivers the goods. So guys, listen, when I'm looking at my team and how this plays out, what I'm looking for, where are the people who did what they said they were going to do? I'm not looking at every single goal being hit, but I'm looking at who said they were going to do this and did it, meaning the actions they were committed to, the book club that they said they were going to see through, the team call they said they were going to be on. Who is following through with what they committed to? Or who is constantly, repeatedly promising, but not following through? Guys, if that's you, you can change that. You can change that. Discipline is literally choosing today to start keeping the promises you make to yourself. So you can change that. All right. Where are we on time? Okay. All right. Players love to see others succeed. Pretenders have only interest in their own success. I feel like when we look at, well, let me put it this way. So he talks about players in the maturity process of a player. You generally begin as a competitor, meaning you just want to compete. You just want to win. Like you want to just, it's me against the world. And then he says, eventually you evolve to becoming a personal achiever. Like, okay, I just want to be the best. Like I wanted to beat everybody. Now I just want to be the best. To then a team player, to where, okay, I just want to play with the best. To then a team builder, where I want to lead the best. I want to become the best so I can lead with the best. And I think that that is so true, because here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be successful. The error of that is when you think you can be successful as one person. Nothing great was ever achieved by simply one person. It's just impossible. It's impossible to achieve anything great from one person. You've got to learn how to work well and succeed with other people, collaborate. Pretenders only care about their fame. Pretenders only care about their recognition. They only care about their ego. Players are going to be willing to put that aside for the good of the team. Okay, let me make sure I don't have anything else I want to put there. Hold on. I have notes in two different places. Okay. A player is happy when another member of the team succeeds because it benefits everybody. You guys, listen, a rising tide raises all ships. So when your team is not in momentum, but another team is, know that if you will steward that well, it can inspire the heck out of your team. We've seen it play out over and over and over again. Michelle's team will be in momentum and my team sees it. They pay attention and it inspires them. Vice versa. Pretenders see success as a win or lose, and they will resent it when another person is winning. You guys, listen, it's normal to make comparisons. It does not have to be the normal to let that comparison mean something negative. That comparison can and should inspire you to see what is possible. If it's happening for someone else, it could be happening for you. It could be happening for your team. Okay. The purpose in life is to not win, which is a hard sentence for me. It is to grow and share. But listen, here's what I found out. When you're growing and sharing, you also doing a lot of winning. So if you are someone who wants to achieve, just know the best way to get there is to help other people grow and share and reach their potential. Okay. All right. Players value integrity above all else. Pretenders value image above all else. The players care more about doing the right thing than being the big thing. Pretenders, they want to look good regardless of the cost. I think this, when I think about this, here's how this plays out in Plexus. Players, someone's going to message them and want information about the product, and they're going to mention that they've also been in conversation with other Plexus people. That player is going to say, listen, Plexus would absolutely help you. I have no doubt. Do me a favor, go back to that person that introduced you to it. Ask them that question. Like, I know that they would be willing to help you with that. A pretender is going to be after that quick join, regardless of the fact they know the right thing to do is to send it back to the person that initially, or that is in conversation with them. Now, if somebody's in active current conversation about Plexus products and you accept that person onto your team, listen, that's not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is send that person back. Send them back to who initially contacted them about Plexus. So that's just one thing that I see. Another thing, a way that I see this playing out is you will bash or badmouth another company in hopes that you can persuade them to join you over here. Well, don't go and do this opportunity because all of these bad things. You guys, a player is simply going to list the benefits of what we have to offer and then encourage that person to go reach their potential wherever they land. They're going to tell them to go bloom where you're planted, wherever that is. Okay, see at the bottom, the rules of navigation are this. What's under the surface should carry more weight than what's above the surface if the ship is going to make it through the storm without capsizing. Integrity is like this. What's under the surface better be greater than what's above. And I thought about this because this last week we were on a sailboat and he had us out on that water. He forgot to tell us that I've never sailed before, that under a sailboat is a really long wait. Like it's a long, I don't know how long. He didn't care to encourage us with all that information, but a long wait. But at one point our boat was like this in the water. Like we were sitting on our butt and then standing like with the boat in the water, like water was coming in. Me and Megan Goff real nervous at this point. Brittany's still just taking pictures, like living her best life. Me and Megan thought we was about to die. And he's like, oh, no, it will never tip over. And we're like, we are like in the act of tipping currently. Like he actually sent my husband to the other side of the boat at this point. And so I'm trying to understand why he's so confident that this boat ain't about to kill all of us. And he's like, oh, no. Let me tell you what's underneath the boat. Let me tell you what this boat is made of. Let me tell you about the spine of this boat. It won't tip over. I know about the integrity of what's holding it together. So be that kind of person that even when, man, it's so tempting to tip, to just level back out, know what you're made of, have a spine. Okay, because players will. All right, here we go. Players make hard choices. Pretenders make soft choices. He says, when it comes to choices, Yogi Berra says, when you come to the fork in the road, take it. Seems easy, right? But pretenders, they want to make soft choices because they care more about people agreeing with them and kind of keeping everyone happy than they do about a team's success or even helping a person reach their personal potential. Whereas players will make the hard choices. They'll have the hard conversations. He says people who don't lead aren't unaware of the hard choices that must be made. They're just unwilling to make them. The discomfort of making the hard choice is less appealing than the comfort of just being agreeable. Okay, so why? Did I put this on the next slide? I can't remember. Okay, yeah, I did. So hold on. Okay, that's on the next slide too. Oh, this is good. He says this. We all have the power of choice, but once used, our choice has power over us. Isn't that really good? When you make a choice for your team, you have power to choose what you're going to do. But once you've made that choice, now your choice has power over you. So be willing to choose the hard choice. Be willing to choose the hard choice. But why are the hard choices hard to make? Because the sacrifice is on the front end and the payoff is on the back end. So when you have to make the hard choice to have a tough conversation with the teammate. The sacrifice, you getting into that tough emotional place with them, being willing to uncover hard truth, being willing to help them have some self-awareness, that's a sacrifice. It feels like a sacrifice on both parties. You got to put yourself out there to be able to communicate hard truth, knowing it's going to sting. Like they're going to have some realizations that are going to be painful, but you understand that the payoff is going to be on the back end because that person will grow. You will grow as a leader and the person that you are coaching will grow as a person. But sometimes that feels really hard to make. So we make a soft choice instead. We just overlook something. We let it go. We let it slide. We address it the next time. Players make the hard choices. It's hard to make a hard choice because fewer people gather to affirm hard choices. When you make a soft, agreeable choice, you're going to get a lot of high fives. Usually not from people who are further ahead than you, but sometimes the high five feels nice either way. When you make the hard choice, you hear the saying, people say, well, it's lonelier at the top. It's just because fewer people gather to affirm hard choices. But those who do affirm the hard choices, their influence is going to be much greater than the gaggle of people who are waiting to hand clap a soft choice. Hard choices always include risk. Always. Take it back to that hard conversation with that person on your team. There's a risk. There's a risk. Is this person's emotional maturity going to allow them to receive in love what I'm sharing? What if they pitch a fit and leave and never come back? Okay, it rarely happens from people who are open to growing, but there's always a risk. What if you totally mess it up and what you intended to deliver in love, you came across accusatory and you came across whatever, and you might even have to apologize after the fact. Like, there's always risk, but everything is figure outable. Okay. Hard choices usually place others, people, and the organization above itself, meaning above its comfort, above its recognition, above whatever, they place it above itself. And so that's a hard choice because it means that you're putting yourself beneath the company's needs, beneath the team's needs, beneath your leader, like whatever. You're putting yourself underneath something. And that's a hard choice to do because we're selfish by nature. So here's the problem. We have uphill dreams and aspirations, but downhill habits and tendencies. Hard choices. Those are the ones you have to make if you want to be a player. He says, whenever you see a successful business, someone once made a courageous decision, and that is always going to be a hard choice. Always. Always too early. There you go. Whenever you see a successful business, someone once made a courageous decision. And John Maxwell went even further to say, and this is going back to that quote, but he said he would change that to, whenever you see a successful business, someone once made a courageous decision and then continued making courageous decisions every single day after that. One of my personal faves, difference between a player and a pretender: players finish out, pretenders fade out. Anybody relate? Anybody ever seen this happen in real life? You've seen it. Players show up at January 1st and crowd my gym, but then they turn quick into pretenders, then they fade out by May 1st. They gone. But a few, they gonna stay. Players understand the power of finishing well. Pretenders overestimate the event and underestimate the process. They over glamorize this rank, this achievement, this prize. They think when I hit that, I'll have arrived and I'll be whatever. I'll have that joy or that success or whatever. They underestimate the process that it's going to take to get them there. It's always going to take you longer than you want, require more than you want, cost more than you want, always. But here's the thing. If you've put your success on a title or on a rank, when you get there, what you're going to find is it's going to be shallow. It's going to be like those Easter bunny eggs that you think are pure chocolate, but they ain't. They hollow. That's what that will be. Because if you're not working from purpose, if you're working for position, it's always going to feel less fulfilling. Guys, it will always cost more than you think, take you longer, require more of you, always. But it will be worth it if you're working from a place of purpose. Okay. Why do pretenders fade out? Because they get tired of the fight. They, instead of wishing to get better, they wish it was easier. A player does not mind the hard. They just want to know, how can I improve? What do I have to do to get better? Pretenders will wish for it to be easier. Players will wish to get better. Why else do pretenders fade out? They fail to change. They fail to change. They say, well, this is how I've always done it. This is what I always want to do. I'm not adaptable. I'm not flexible. I'm not open. Here's the thing. What got you here won't keep you here. Depending on where you are in your business, you've achieved some measures of success. We've got to be open. We've got to look at, okay, what can I change and grow in as a leader in order to move forward? The secret of your success is in your daily routine. We know that, golly, if we haven't learned anything over the last couple of books, I hope we've learned that. Many pretenders today were players yesterday. Don't miss this. Many pretenders today were players yesterday, but they began to take shortcuts. They began to fade out. They began to start book clubs and not finish them. They began to jump on team calls, but instead of being focused, cameras on, taking notes, they're out to eat with the phone on the table with the Zoom logged in. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. They begin to show up strong in the IPA chat and they're congratulating everybody on their joins on the first, second, and third of the month. But by the 9th of the month, it requires somebody reminding them, hey, listen, our job is to add value and to encourage. Jump back in there and encourage your team. Or worse, we take the first 3 weeks of the month off and show up at during Magic Week and want to know why we're not having the month of our dreams. Players work consistently within their capacity, regardless of prizes or incentives. Players stay the course because they work from purpose. Pretenders flop around because they work for prizes. Let's see. I think that's the last one of this. Let me go. Okay, yeah, hang on, let me stop my share. Okay, so why does all of this matter? Well, it matters, number one, because I believe self-awareness is key. I don't believe anybody chooses to be a pretender. No one's like, hey, I'd like to just halfway do these things and be mediocre. But awareness, just knowing what are the tendencies of the most successful people. Because what I will tell you, if you were to poll the 50 people that you saw in Portugal last week, I guarantee you 90% of them would check the boxes on all 8 of these. They have developed a player mindset, a leadership mindset, because they've been willing to learn these skills. But you guys, it doesn't mean they were perfect every time. Players have a servant's mindset. Pretenders have a selfish mindset. I can tell you many times in my business where I was that person. The first one was when I won my first shopping spree. It never even occurred to me to help other people win things. I just wanted to win a shopping spree. You know how I felt when I got there? Like a hollow Easter chocolate bunny. I was completely unfulfilled. So when you're looking at these things, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have so much work to do, welcome to the club. We all have had so much work to do. I think all 3 of us left Portugal going, man, there's so much I need to work on. There's so much I need to work on. So many things I want to improve. Players have that kind of mindset. Pretenders have the let me sit back and enjoy the fruits of all of my hard work mindset. So just being aware of where do you find yourself, and then what can I do to veer back? Kind of like last analogy, I'll let you guys go to bed. When you're on the beach and you're in the water, like your parents have given you a perimeter, or if you're a parent, you've given your kid a perimeter, like, listen, you stay between the yellow umbrella and the blue umbrella, right? Before you know it though, you playing, you having the time of your life, you're doing the things, and you look up and you can't see any of the umbrellas. You've drifted, you've lost focus of what you were supposed to be keeping the most important things. And so we've got to be cognizant of it, because when you're cognizant of it, you can haul tail back to your boundaries and hope nobody's noticed that you were out of them to begin with. So just being aware, you guys, being aware, and then actively pursuing, how can I develop this kind of mindset on a daily basis? And then asking questions. If you're struggling with one of these 8, ask for input and then be coachable to that input. I'll tell you the last thing that I would add this. Players have an open mindset when it comes to receiving constructive feedback. Pretenders have a defensive mindset. Let your first inclination when someone that you trust gives you feedback be open. Like, okay, what if what she is saying is true? Even if it's painful, what if what she is saying is true? And how can I grow here? Instead of, she don't know what she's talking about. Well, she's wrong. Listen, ask me how I know. I have lived this life. So that's what I have for you guys. Hope it is helpful. I'm excited for May. May is going to be a fantastic month. You guys, if I could tell you anything leading up to convention, it's get in activity. Get as many people that you know into activity. Trust me, you are going to want to be set up at the end of June. Please don't wait for June to arrive, end of June convention to arrive for you to decide to get ready. You will regret it. Get yourself ready now so that you can be ready when what we launch at convention. Okay, that's it. Bye, y'all.